Alright boys, as you can tell, today we're going to be installing some Tein lowering springs. The box did come all fucked up, but it's all good. So yeah, I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like when it's done, and then I'll also get into like the review of the springs. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can tell already, but we have finally installed the Tein lowering springs, and wow, has she dropped. Right now in the front, I'm getting probably, barely 2 fingers in right now. And then if we go on to the rear, I believe it's probably somewhere around the same. So we got about 2 fingers. So pretty much a few weeks ago, I was stock. I recently just go ahead and installed the Tein S-Tech lowering springs. And with that one, I honestly wasn't expecting, it to drop too much, but when we went ahead and installed it, it actually went from a 4-finger space to now a 2-finger space, which is awesome. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but she looks mad low. And surprisingly, driving it has been a blast. So I've had this maybe on for a couple days now, and not bottoming out. I'm not scraping anything, and I'm also having I have a better ride quality than I did when I had the stock springs, which was not what I was expecting, because I've had lowering springs in the past before, and to be honest, it's just, I wasn't a big fan. So obviously, me getting another set of lowering springs was just something that I was kind of nervous about, just because, it was pretty much it was a pain in the ass just regarding, the ride quality and me bottoming out and me just pretty much hitting every single fucking bump and scraping and just hearing clunking sounds and stuff like that. So this was actually the first thing I've ever done to a car regarding suspension. So it took me, I'm not gonna lie, it took me and my buddy around, I'd say, like 3 or 4 hours to do for our first time like installing this, and we obviously had to make sure everything was tightened and buckled down correctly. But man, she looks amazing. And to be honest, I do want it to be a little bit more flush. Obviously, we don't have any spacers. So if we look from this angle, she's definitely super in. And if we look into the rear as well, she's definitely, she got a little poke, but not anywhere where I want it to be at. All right, so this is pretty much kind of further away, but this is how she is currently sitting. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, but kind of show you what it looks like from the front and show you how she's sitting. So go ahead and zoom back in, and yeah, I mean, she actually looks like a sports car now. Before, obviously, it was looking a little monster truck vibe type stuff, and I really wasn't wasn't happy with that. I do think that these springs are worth it, especially with the cheap price that I paid, that I got a gift from. So I think I saw the website, and recently I think it was like probably right at $200, or right a little bit lower than $200, and I think that's a steal, especially if you do it yourself and you don't pretty much pay for labor and pay for anyone else to do it. Then I think that is a steal. So regarding the springs, I do think they are worth it. I do think that the ride height quality and everything else is amazing as of right now. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and update you guys on it in a future video, probably when I get more miles regarding that, and just more miles in general, just to see, obviously it takes some time for it to kind of break in, so maybe it's a little grace period, who knows. But yeah, regarding the car, I mean, I just think right now it's looking pretty good. I don't know if I said this earlier or not, but obviously we had to test the car to see if things were put back correctly. And obviously we shout out to Gen Racer. They told us exactly what to torque it to for everything, so that's what we followed. Because for some reason the Tein lowering springs did not have any sort of instructions, and they would tell you to go to their website to get further instructions on how to do certain things, and then we would pull it up and it wouldn't be there. So that was kind of ass. So obviously we had to look at some YouTube videos. I believe his name is AC Auto, so shout out to him. He has a really, really good in-depth video of how to install the lowering springs and like step by step, and that's what we mostly followed. We also did see Brian Paul, but we just had those two videos that we were looking at, and I feel like the AC Auto was the really like in-depth 20-minute in detail, going over every little step. So that was amazing. Obviously it's gonna take some time to do this stuff, but at the end of the day, I mean, the thing that matters is the ride quality, how low it sits, and also, you know, does it feel like it's stiffer? Are you able to hit those corners and stuff like that? And which we tested. You know, I went around, you know, on the freeway. It was like this little, I guess like a little loop in, and I hit that going like 60, 70 miles, no body roll, and it felt amazing, and it felt like a totally different car. So obviously that's the reason why I feel like this should be the first thing you do, you know, just regarding modifications of the car, because obviously the exhaust, don't get me wrong, really amazing to do. Sounds amazing. It's going to help you obviously if you have a manual, so that you kind of know exactly like what RPMs you're in and all that stuff. But for me personally, I think that especially if you're like more of like a seasoned like manual driver, or if you're just a person that likes to look at aesthetics first, I would say lowering springs or some sort of like suspension work, just because it makes such of a difference handling wise, looks wise. And yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously this would be amazing if it came from the factory looking like this, but you know, it's not realistic. It's not going to happen. It's probably never going to really happen for most cars, unless you're like obviously having like a Porsche or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it definitely changed the car. It changed the look of the car. And I mean, honestly, I just think it's really cheap, bro. Like, if you got $200 and you got, you know, some tools, or your buddy got some tools and stuff, just go on and install it, bro. It's gonna be, it took 4 hours, and don't get me wrong, like 4 hours is a long time, but it went by really fast. And once you do one side, obviously if you do the rear and then you do the other side, it's going to go faster on the other side, because now you know what you're doing. Same with the front. So that's my 2 cents on, you know, whether or not I think, you know, having lower springs for your first modification is worth it, because at the end of the day, I think it is. And I think it's something that kind of ties the car in together, because then after you do that, you know, now you can get the exhaust, or now you get the lip side skirts and rear diffuser, and it all kind of ties in and it all looks really good together.